Fellow veterans, honored guests, citizens of Canastota. It is an honor and privilege to be with you this morning as we pay tribute to our fallen. Most Americans, myself included, obsess about debt. Credit card debt, mortgage debt, student loan, and our national debt. It's always in the news and in our minds. But there is another much larger and important debt. One that can never be repaid. That is to the men and women who have paid the ultimate price serving our country in the armed forces. It is also to their families. Statistically, 99% of Americans wake up every morning and enjoy their freedom. The remaining 1% will defend that freedom without sleeping. When a recruit takes the oath of enlistment, he or she writes a blank check made payable to the American people for an amount up to and including their lives. That is the most honorable thing to do for one's country. When you raise your right hand and swear that you will serve your country no matter what. Servicemen and women do not have the luxury of picking the war in which they will fight. When an active duty Marine gets word that his unit is being sent to Afghanistan, he doesn't say, well, I'd rather not. An Army reservist, when called up from her civilian job, doesn't think, I think I'll sit this one out. We live in a representative democracy. War and military action are nothing more than extensions of our foreign policy. It is not just the American military that goes to war. America goes to war. The whole country. All of us. The Americans we are honoring this day had no choice. And because they did not get to pick and choose, we should not have a choice either about deciding which war is worthy of their sacrifice. They knowingly sacrificed their lives to serve their country. I'd like to paraphrase a quote from Major General Patrick Henry Brady, who was awarded the Medal of Honor for actions during Vietnam. Most people will sacrifice, but there will be a bottom line. They eventually want something out of it. The exceptions are soldiers and members of law enforcement and the fire service. By answering the call of their profession, it only increases the level of sacrifice and responsibility they must bear. As we enjoy a long weekend of memorials and celebrations and prepare for the summer, let us also remember that we are still a nation at war. One that started decades ago and only came ashore on September 11, 2001. The current war we find ourselves in is unlike any war we've ever fought. It's not against a particular country, but rather against an ideology that knows no borders and would deny our right to exist as a society. The war had a beginning, but may have no end. Our enemies exist possibly inside our own borders. God only knows how long it will take, but you can be sure that our armed forces will remain vigilant. Please keep them in your prayers. In closing, a quote written during our War of Independence that still rings true even today. These are the times that try men's souls. The silver soldier and the sunshine patriot will in this crisis shrink from the service of their country, but he or she who stands it now deserves the love and attention of man and woman. What we obtain too cheaply, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods. And it would be strange indeed if so celestial as an article as freedom should not be highly rated. Thomas Paine, The Crisis, 1776. Thank you, and God bless America.
This time I'd like to call up some representatives from the Canastota School District to come to the podium.
Good morning. I'm Jean Clark, Assistant Superintendent for the Canastota School District. Along with me are two of our board members, Marion Serio and Doug Gustin. On behalf of the Canastota Central School District, Board of Education, administration, faculty, and staff, we sincerely want to thank the American Legion for their commitment in providing flags for our classrooms. We are touched and honored by their generosity, as this gift is above and beyond. This plaque is a small token of our appreciation for this wonderful gift and for everything else the American Legion does to support our district, our community, and for what they stand for. So again, thank you very much to the American Legion.
At this time in our program, we wish to give special honor to the young men from the Canastota area who gave their lives for the cause of justice, freedom, and peace. The valor and honor which these men represent is an example for all to follow. They gave their youth, their talents, their strength, and finally their lives on the battlefields of the world, all for their beloved homeland, the United States of America. I now ask all the participating units and all veterans to come to attention as officers of the day, Ron Larmer and Bill Yorton, read the roll call of our departed colleagues.
World War I, Private Lorenzo Pareto, U.S. Army in France.
World War I, Private First Class Joel N. Waterbury, U.S. Army, France.
Private Harry Conrad, U.S. Army.
Private Carlton Lowell, U.S. Army, France.
Private Charles Miller, United States Army, France.
Private William Bromfield, U.S. Army, Camp Gordon, Georgia.
Private George H. Wilson, U.S. Army, Fort McClellan, Georgia.
Private Halifax Houghton, U.S. Army.
Corporal Edwin McBrien Schuler, U.S. Marine Corps, France.
Private Lorenzo Roberto, U.S. Army, France.
Private William Lee, United States Army, in Jackson, Virginia.
World War II, machinist mate, 3rd class, Edwin J. Burke. United States Navy, killed in action, South Pacific.
World War II, Tech Sergeant George C. Cox, U.S. Army, killed in action, Monte Cassino, Italy.
Tech Sergeant Donald Roberts, Army Air Corps, killed in action over France.
Corporal Ward Davidson, U.S. Army, killed in action, Renzo Beach, Italy.
Private Dominic DiFincenzo, U.S. Army, killed in action, Florence, Italy.
Private Andy Masaccio, U.S. Army, killed in action, Italy.
Private First Class Lyle Kendrickson, U.S. Army, killed in action, San Angelo, Italy.
Private First Class Armand T. Tornatore, U.S. Army, killed in action, France.
First Lieutenant Charles B. Nerhood, Army Air Corps, fighter pilot, killed in action, France.
Private Carol Tate, U.S. Army, Andover, Maryland.
Private First Class Ernest Seaman, U.S. Army, killed in action, France.
Private First Class Vincent Monaco, U.S. Army, killed in action, Northern Italy.
Private Donald Simmons, U.S. Army, killed in action, Normandy, Beachhead, France.
ACMF Robert A. Sayers, U.S. Navy, killed in action, Solomon Islands.
Private First Class Frank Dittomo, U.S. Army, killed in action, Normandy, Beachhead, France.
PFC Eldon, Seaman, U.S. Army, killed in action, Germany.
World War II Flight Officer Anthony Mural, Army Air Corps, Sarasota, Florida.
Tech Sergeant Vincent W. Walters, U.S. Army, killed in action, Normandy, Beachhead.
Private First Class Gardner Middleditch, U.S. Marine Corps, Maui Island.
Civil War II Private Peter Fultz, U.S. Army, killed in action, France.
Second Lieutenant Clarence Farrington, Army Air Corps, shot down over Bethlehem, Germany.
Private Frank Pena, United States Marine Corps, killed in action, Carolina.
Private First Class Charles Cordell, U.S. Army, killed in action, Holland.
Private Frank Muscari, U.S. Army, killed in action, North Africa.
World War II, yes. Private Donald Alton Phipps, U.S. Army, killed in action, island of Guam.
Korean War, DMC Claude Portman, U.S. Army, Korea.
Seaman First Class Philip Ackerman, U.S. Navy, killed in action, Battle of the Column.
Private Thomas Clark, U.S. Army, killed in action, Korea.
Private First Class Charles Connery, U.S. Army, killed in action, Negros Island.
Vietnam, Lieutenant Chauncey Burke, U.S. Army, killed in action, Vietnam.
War II, Private First Class Joseph Buda, U.S. Army, killed in action, Italy.
Richard Bradley, U.S. Army, killed in action, Vietnam.
War II, Second Lieutenant Henry Sykes, Jr., U.S. Air Force, Leech Lake, California. Korea, Ronald H. Adams, U.S. Army, died as a prisoner of war.
Private Wesley Gordon, U.S. Army, Korea.
Vietnam, Private Siri E. Allen, U.S. Army, killed in action, Vietnam.
Private Robert Orr, U.S. Army, died of wounds received in Vietnam.
Vietnam, Specialist 5th Class, Dale M. Snyder, U.S. Army, killed in action, Vietnam.
That concludes our decision.
only on America, but on the family of those who serve and the ones who are next.
This concludes our Memorial Day services. I would like to again thank everyone that participated in the parade and attended today's Remembrance Ceremony. We invite everyone to please join us at the American Legion to enjoy some fellowship and refreshment. Commanders, take charge of your units.